Jeff, thank you so much for joining me here today. I'm extremely excited to hear about the knowledge that you're going to share with me. But why don't you go ahead and start and just give me a sense of who you are and what it is that you do.
Well, Payne, thank you for having me. I'm excited about sharing this information, and I hope it's useful to the people watching. But my name is Jeff Zelaya. I'm a digital marketing executive. I'm in sales, marketing, social media is my passion, and I'm also LinkedIn's most recommended person under 30. And a public speaker as well. You might have caught that already.
Yes, thank you, Jeff, so much. Okay, Jeff, you're doing tremendous things with your own personal brand, and I know that you're out there every day helping businesses. Would you give us an idea of how you found product market fit? So you're a professional speaker, and you obviously are out there helping people every day. How did you find your customer? How did you know that your gift was something that people wanted?
I think it goes back to my college days, where my marketing professor was talking about the different fundamentals of marketing, and then she said, well, there's this new thing happening with Facebook and Twitter, but she really didn't understand it very well. So that was kind of my inspiration to go out and learn it myself and get into it and start connecting with different groups and researching online on how marketers could leverage those different tools to increase their sales and get their brand out there. So I became so knowledgeable in that area that my own professor was coming to me saying, hey Jeff, do you mind talking about it to the students about social media and about marketing? So that's really where it started, and word of mouth spread. One professor asked me, and there was a couple different professors asking me, and they got out to the community, and even businesses were reaching out to me to teach their executives and their salespeople how to leverage all these different social media tools. So that's when I realized, wow, this is a great opportunity. Let me build on it and really help people understand how social media works and how they could leverage it to help them reach their goals.
Wow, that's great. That's a great story. You put in the time early on, building the knowledge, and then someone recognized it, and from there was a snowball effect.
Exactly.
That's great. Can you tell us a little bit about how you go about finding customers now, or finding new groups to speak in, or are you always approached, or do you have to go out proactively and find them?
I think part of any business is first that you have to build it. You have to establish yourself as an authority in whatever industry it is, whether it's marketing, whether it's IT, whether it's graphics. You have to give and provide value, so when people there's opportunities and people think of graphics or they think of public speaking, I want them to come to me first. So the way that I do that is very strategic. How are people finding public speakers? How are they finding marketers? Well, Google, right? A lot of things that you want, you go to Google first and you start researching, and things are going to pop up. So that's an area that I identified. I want to have better search engine optimization. I want to come up first for my desired keywords. Another area that I saw opportunities, of course, social media. People are using social media every day for referrals, to ask their friends, hey, what do you think about this restaurant? What do you think about hiring this professional? So people are out there having conversations. I want to take a part of that and insert myself into those conversations. And then the other areas that are more traditional but fundamental nonetheless are networking, right? So actually physically going out and meeting people. And I know it sounds kind of weird at this day and age, but it's really how a lot of business gets done. Meeting people, seeing them in the eye, shaking hands, and telling them what you're doing and how you could help them and how they could help you. So networking is a key part of it. And word of mouth is another area that is very important. So I think those are the main areas that have helped me grow my business, and that I've taught to others, and they've used those different techniques to grow their business.
Great. And you mentioned a few different techniques, a few different marketing channels, all of which are beneficial to you and are attracting customers. But the golden question here is, which one of those? You mentioned SEO, you mentioned social media, networking, word of mouth. What's really the cash cow? Which one of those avenues are you really using the most to attract customers? Or which one has been the most successful for you?
Without a doubt, it's been social media. And the reason behind that is that social media impacts your SEO. Depending on what you tweet and what you share on LinkedIn, all that is having a direct impact on the Google rankings. Google is taking that into account. How often is this blog or this website being shared on Facebook? Are people tweeting about? So all that is taken into account into SEO. So social media has an overall effect. Social media can also spur word of mouth referrals, because if you're very popular on Twitter or have an active presence on Facebook or LinkedIn, that's going to create conversations outside of those channels, which will get word of mouth moving around the community, around what you do. So I think for me personally, social media has had the greatest impact, because doing well in that particular area has also positively impacted the other channels.
Wow, that's great. That's great. So ending up on our marketing here, because you've given us already some really great information. For an entrepreneur who's out there, they feel a little bit overwhelmed with running the business, trying to go out and find new customers, do the marketing, do the finance, and wear a million hats. Is there any words of wisdom? Are there any words of wisdom that you could share to someone in terms of marketing that's really going to help push them forward?
Yeah, I think the number one, and a lot of people that have been successful have said the same thing, is you can't be afraid to fail. I think part of being an entrepreneur is you want everything to be perfect, that you want to succeed, and it's great to have that desire, but also don't be afraid to think outside of that box and experiment and try different things, because in doing that different thing, that could be the differentiator that makes you stand out, that attracts that audience that you want. So you can't go into it with the fear of failure. Just go into it, the desire that you want to succeed, the desire to try new things, to be creative. Don't lose that creativity just because you got to do mundane stuff. You still want to maintain that creative edge. So I think that's really the key for anyone that is starting a business or is in the middle of managing a business, and then always continue to network. One thing that upsets people is, you only network when you need something, and people hate that, right? People that I talk to, they don't want to help those folks out. So always network. You might don't ask for stuff right off the bat. Instead ask, how can you help? And by helping those around you and having genuine interest in the people that are around you, that's going to bring opportunity your way. And people will think of you and will want to help you when the time comes. So always look for ways that you can assist and help those around you reach their goals.
We know that you're using a bunch of different marketing channels. You mentioned SEO, you mentioned social media as your darling, but we also know that you're a phenomenal LinkedIner. I don't even know if that's a word, but you're the go-to guy.
You just coined that.
I just coined that, trademark that. I'm gonna write it down. But we know you're the go-to guy for LinkedIn. So the very first question is, out of 100%, how important is LinkedIn to the overall marketing of your business?
It depends. It depends, and the reason I say that is not as a cop-out, but because it really does depend on what type of business you have. If your business is mainly business to consumer, then you know what, maybe LinkedIn is not for you, and it's not the best fit or you should be spending most of your time in. However, if you're a business to business type business, then guess what, LinkedIn is probably a great opportunity for you to network and connect with other executives and people that you're trying to sell your service or your products to. So it really, it varies, and across the board they could range from 10%, 0%, to, for me, it's almost 80% of where I'm devoting my time and my energy to, and it's producing me quite a bit of results.
Okay, that's good to hear. If you're spending 80% on there, there must be a positive return that you're getting back. So if you don't mind, would you tell us what are the top 3 activities that you're engaging in on LinkedIn and why?
Okay. Number 1 is using LinkedIn to network. You're always looking to build your network, and when you first join LinkedIn, you're going to be able to do that in different ways. You can upload your current Rolodex of people, right, that you have in Outlook or Gmail or Yahoo, Hotmail, whatever, and start connecting with those folks. But then you want to also expand outside of that inner circle. You have people that you meet at networking events. You grab those business cards, instead of collecting business cards and putting it in your desk drawer and forgetting about it till spring cleaning, where you toss them out, and you take those business cards and right away you look up those people, you Google them, find them on LinkedIn, send them an invitation, and now that's part of your online Rolodex. So I think that's one of the key things that you should be doing. Number one activity is always looking to build your network and expand your network. Number two, depending on where, what your goal is from LinkedIn, is to build lists. And what I mean by that is that you could go through your connections and start tagging people depending on how you want to follow up with them. So me being a marketer and being in marketing, I always like to pick people's minds that are in marketing as well and learn more about what they're doing and potentially see if maybe I can help them or if they could help me. So I go through my connections, start tagging those people that are in marketing so that I could follow up with them at different intervals and basically just connect with them and see if there's a fit for us to do some business together. And then the third area is using LinkedIn as a way to message people. A lot of times you're connected with people on LinkedIn and you want to follow up with them and you want to talk to them. Many times you don't have their email address, but you are an established LinkedIn connection. So use LinkedIn as a way of reaching out to them and conveying your message, providing value, asking questions. So those are the three activities. Definitely networking and meeting new people. Number two is researching and building those lists. And number three is messaging and communicating with folks.
Wonderful, wonderful. Can you give us an idea of how you would go from step A to step C? So you talked about building the network, then tagging, and then essentially messaging them. Is there some secret formula, or is it pretty straightforward? You just do a search, find the people, identify the tags, or is there a more rigorous process there?
Sure. So the areas that I cover that I just mentioned now are the activities. So those are the things that I'm doing actively on LinkedIn. Now, before we get into that and do those activities, I think it's very important that you build your own personal presence on LinkedIn. You fully optimize your own personal profile. There's a saying that improvement begins with I, right? I-M-P-R-O-V-E-M-E-N-T. So improvement begins with you. How are you going to improve what you've got and that people are seeing? So take the time to make sure your profile is updated, that you have your current position on there, that you have a nice profile summary, that you have recommendations. And then once that's established and that's up to par, then you could start doing everything else, because now you'll see better results, because people, when they see that invite to connect coming from someone that has a well-established, robust profile, they're more likely to accept it, they're more likely to engage with you, they're more likely to pay you attention. Because if that's not up to par, they might think, hey, this guy's a spammer, or this guy doesn't even really know what he's doing. And they might ignore it or just delete it. So I think, before we start doing those things, definitely start on yourself and improve your own presence first.
Great. So, Jeff, if you could tell us, I know that you've got some secret formula in your mind that just is really highly effective in terms of connecting with people or getting them to respond. Are there any hidden tricks that you've learned that really work well on LinkedIn? Any sort of technique that you do to get a high rate of return on the efforts that you're putting in?
Sure. I think one of them is it's almost so obvious that I don't know why people aren't doing it, but it's customizing messages. Something as simple as customizing a message to someone has a very high rate of return because people aren't used to it. People are used to the generic. For example, you want to ask for a recommendation, you just shoot out, would you endorse me? Or you want to connect with someone, do you want to be part of my network? So those very generic messages many times get ignored, and it doesn't come across very personal. So I think one of the secrets or hidden secrets is taking the time to actually research who you're sending the message out to, customize it, make it relevant to them, and then sending it out. And if you do that, you're going to see your acceptance rate of invitations rocket, you're going to see your recommendations rise, and you're just going to have better results overall from using LinkedIn. The second area, a way to spice up your profile, you can actually embed video into your profile, which is very catchy. Very few people are doing it. So if you are doing it, you really stand out from the masses. Using a simple application, SlideShare, which has now been acquired by LinkedIn, you can embed a video, a YouTube video, or a video like this right onto your profile. maybe making an introduction of what you do, or showing your company, or something else that you think is a good fit. So that's something that is a hidden trick. And then another one, which I think everyone wants to do, they want to rank better, right? Someone's looking for, in your case, CPAN, a graphic artist or a graphic company, someone types that in, you want to be number one. In my case, if someone's searching public speaker or marketing consultant, I want to be number one or as high as possible on that list. So the way you do that is you strategically embed keywords throughout your profile. Make sure you mention that. When people recommend you, make sure that they mention that. And as you get more of those mentions and those keywords scattered in your profile, you'll see your ranking go up. Another factor that impacts your ranking is recommendations. The more recommendations you have, the higher you'll show up in the ranking, and people notice that. People read your recommendations. It's just like when you go to vacation and you go stay at a hotel, you're going to research the hotel on Travelocity or TripAdvisor and find out what people are saying about it. Well, guess what? On LinkedIn, people are doing the same thing, and they're going to be paying attention to the ones that are positive recommendations, but also the amount of recommendations.
Well, sage advice, because though they're little bitty tweaks that don't take a ton of time. I think a lot of people get intimidated by LinkedIn, but the first thing you mentioned, just taking the time to customize a message, taking the time to optimize your profile, those little things are really going to be the difference maker, because most people are just there doing the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of time, a lot of people sometimes get overwhelmed, because in this short video we've covered a lot of stuff that you can do on LinkedIn. A lot of people get overwhelmed, and it's analysis paralysis, right? They're like, oh my God, where do I start? I mean, just do something. You don't have to do all these things in one day, but one day focus on just building your network. The second day you focus on getting recommendations. But it's an ongoing thing. And what I see where a lot of people fail is that they only start doing this when they lost their job, when they got fired, when they're looking to grow their business and make the sales. They only do it when they need something. But if you just do it because when you don't need anything and maintain it, you'll get a lot better results out of it.
I couldn't agree more. What you give for a business owner, maybe they're thinking to themselves, even though you've given me the badge of courage here to just go day by day, I don't want to spend time building up this whole online profile. I just want to go in and I want to find customers as quickly and as easily as possible. What advice would you give to a business owner to find and engage new customers proactively on LinkedIn?
I think if you have that mentality, you're going to be shorting yourself on the possible success that you could have. So, number one, I think before you go out there and start hunting down customers, work on your profile and get it up to par, because you'll have better results. I'm not going to go chop down a tree with a rusted axe. I'm going to get a nice axe, make sure I sharpen it, take the extra time to sharpen that axe. That's going to make me more effective at chopping down that tree.
Or you're not going to go to a business meeting with shorts on.
Exactly. The little things that make the big impact and big difference. So I think definitely work on your own presence before you start hunting down potential customers or potential business partners. But as far as an entrepreneur, I would say once you have that, then the best way to network is to join groups on LinkedIn. You can join different groups. So find what's your goal? Are you looking to maybe sell your business and you want or to get money for your business? There's angel investor groups. There's groups that are in your related industry. There's groups where you could go and people are actively looking for your services. So go through LinkedIn's groups and find the ones that are the best fit for you, and that's how you can really start take part in the discussions. Go in there, add value. Maybe share your case studies, share your success stories, share some white papers or trends that you're seeing in the industry. And by sharing and adding value and jumping into the active discussions, people will start noticing. They'll start establishing, connecting you with what it is that you do. And when the need arises, guess what? They're going to come to you. So I've seen a lot of people take advantage of that and be very successful at it, make tons of money from it. But you gotta work on yourself and then do it in the right way.
So you got to be active and you got to be out there.
Exactly. Very, very true.
So Jeff, you've given us a ton of information here. I want to give full respect to your time because I know you're a busy guy and you're jet setting to another part of the country here pretty soon. if you could just give us one piece of advice for, again, for entrepreneurs, for business owners, what would you tell them if they could only do one thing on LinkedIn? Because again, I know you're giving us the full formula, but there are people who will just not listen and say this is too much. If there's just one thing that they can do to get in front of a new customer, or to find a new customer, or really just to maximize LinkedIn, is there any one piece of information you give?
Sure. The one thing that I would do is, that I would recommend them to do, is reach 100%. And what I mean by that is when you log into LinkedIn to create your profile, it has a little bar. It tells you how far along you are. So you could be 10%, 20%, and as you do the things that they have on their list, you're going to reach 100%. So my only advice, if you do nothing else that I talked about today, just reach 100%. Because when you reach 100%, your profile is 100% complete, and now you'll be inserted into the search results, and people will be able to find you, and you'll have more opportunities because of it. So if you do nothing else, at least reach 100% so you can have a fully optimized profile.
Thank you, Jeff. Great advice there. And really everything that you said, I know that it's going to give people not only the courage to move forward, but the tips, the pragmatic tools and techniques to go ahead and build up on their marketing and utilize LinkedIn to the full degree. I want to thank you today for your time, and hopefully we can do it again at some point in the future.
Definitely, and if there's anything that I did not answer or you want follow-up on, feel free to find me on LinkedIn. You'll find me there, Jeff Zelaya, and I'll be more than happy to follow up and answer any questions that you may have. So thanks again, C-Pain, for this opportunity. Absolutely. And good luck to everyone that's watching this. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeff.